I walked into one of the world's most powerful spiritual vortex, and I came back home not even the same person. Welcome back to Sacred Whisper. I am going to share with you the mind-blowing transformation that I had when I went to Tulum, Mexico to a retreat. I have so much to share with you around this, and I'm actually glad I'm sharing this with you. At the time I'm recording this, I've been home for, I don't know, like 2.5 or 3 weeks or something like that. I don't know. Time is not even real. But I know the profound aha moments and shifts that have happened and the embodiment that has followed this is so much more potent now than if I would have recorded this right after I got home from my trip. And to be honest, there's no right or wrong. I'm just in reflection mode of this. And I'm just like, yeah, this timing is perfect. And just a side note, like, how can you trust yourself a little bit more? How can you trust in the timing of things more? It's like sometimes we get so frustrated when things are not happening in our timeline. But the truth is, we're not always in control. We're powerful manifestors. You're a powerful manifester and creating shit out of thin air. And also, it's like, can you just lean back and open your hands and just be like, trust the flow, trust the ride, and also take the aligned actions where it's meant to be taken. Okay. The reason why I didn't record this right out of coming home was because I got sick as fuck. And I'm going to share with you all of that. But I also want to share with you, I typed out 5 of my biggest takeaways that I think that you're going to find very interesting and profound. And you're going to be able to implement these in your life in a way that feels in alignment. And my intention and what I'm seeing for you is that you're going to have these shifts and aha moments as well. So let's first of all talk about this experience that I manifested. It's so funny the way that I manifest things in my personal life because it happens so nonchalantly and so freaking fast that it actually blows my mind. It's like, of course. And then in the same breath, it's like, holy crap, that was fast. So my husband and I went to see Wicked. This was, I don't know, it was like the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend in the US, I think it was. And we were getting out of the truck after the movie at home, and I had been talking to him about traveling more in 2025. And I was sharing with him that my mentor was hosting a retreat and it was in Tulum, Mexico. And I'm like, first of all, I want a trip in 2025. This is the year I turned 40. I at first wanted to go to Bali, but I don't know if that's where I actually want to go. But I was like, it would be really cool to go on one of her retreats that she's having in 2025 as also like a business growth experience, but also a like 40th woohoo as well. So combination of both. I'm open and willing for both. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool? And that was it. That was the extent of the conversation. He's like, yeah, babe, whatever you want to do. He's so supportive. And so I don't know, within a couple days, I'm literally having a conversation with my mentor in the DMs. Literally, like, I don't even know if it was a full 48 hours later. And I remember getting that message from her. It might have even been the next day. And we were having this conversation and I'm just bawling because I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And I was like, holy shit, I was just talking about this yesterday. And I'm like committing to this really powerful experience. And also one of the most potent spiritual vortexes in the world. Now, I know that she's aware of this, but that's not how it was advertised. It's more of a business growth, identity shifting retreat. Have you ever been on a retreat? Man, they're so much fun. Like, they're so expansive. I've been on several. And actually, side note, only my evolution members know at this point, but I'm actually hosting my own retreat in 2025. Details to follow. For those of you that are in our Quantum Illumination Reiki certification program, this is a VIP upgrade option for a in-person immersion. So more on that to come. So this was the story of how I manifested this trip. I just like put it out, and then like, I want to say it was the next day we're having this conversation, and it blew my mind and also made me so emotional because I was like, oh my God, like how did this happen so fast? And it was in January. I wasn't even really sure I would be able to go at first because of my husband's very demanding job and, kiddos, appointments, all the things. And when I told him about it and showed him the conversation and showed him all the info, he was like, yeah, let me just put in the leave, which is fancy military terms for vacation time. And if they can't, the kids will be fine. I'll shift my schedule to be on days. I'll be here for them when they're home, and it'll be no big deal. And I'm like, okay, so this is happening. Now, what followed was actually in fucking insane. And I know that it was for my highest and best good, but a lot of it didn't feel like it at the time. And I know that you've had those experiences, right? Where you're in something and you're like, what in the actual F? Why? And it's like, okay, I know why, but man, it's so hard. So, and also sometimes what happens, I don't believe that the universe is testing you. And I believe that I do have a podcast episode on this. So go look for that one. And if I find it, I'll pop the episode number in the show notes for you so you can go listen to that, because I know it's a short and sweet but potent episode. The universe is not testing you. I don't believe that's true. What I do know happens sometimes, though, is that we are given signs over and over, and if we don't fully pay attention to them, we're forced into them. And in addition to that, sometimes when a door opens, it requires doors to close, and it requires, like, sometimes our next level or that next version of us requires for older pieces of us to die. And I could feel burnout creeping in. Yep, your spiritual mentor that actually fucking teaches this was very quickly approaching burnout. And I could feel it coming on. I had actually started therapy, I want to say in October, because I had just real talk. I don't know if I've shared this on here yet or not, but I just have a really hard time adjusting to our new lifestyle in Texas. I was used to 7 years of a slower lifestyle, a slower paced life, being able to take my Jeep and go into the woods and pick a trail and get lost in nature or go hiking whenever I wanted in many different locations. And it was just so peaceful. And here I was like, yeah, I make the best of anywhere I go. And also the way of living here is super fast. There's not a lot of nature around here that I have found. However, we're going to be searching. And also, I am not comfortable going hiking alone here. So we'll either be training my dog to come with me, or one of my dogs, or the buddy system, having friends come along for safety. And so, just normal stuff. But at the same time, where I'm willing to make the best of every situation in every place we live, and my husband and kids are the same way, the fast-paced life was a lot. And that was including my husband's demanding job. And I was told about this before we had moved here. And, they talked about it a lot in the incoming spouses briefings. And I don't normally go to those, but for my husband's job, it being a different job than he had worked for 17 years, I was like, okay, let me go check this out and let me get the information on what it's like to be an MTIY. And it was always like, it's like a deployment, but they come home and sleep at night with you. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, okay, well, it's better than the alternative of him actually deploying. And then reality sat in. And the truth is, he's amazing. and he helps wherever he can. And also, it's just a lot on me. And I got to the point where I was doing too much, didn't have enough boundaries in my personal life, and just was crashing. And I could feel it. And then right before Christmas happened, we had a very extreme family emergency that took place that was the tipping point for me. And I was like, okay, I absolutely cannot keep living like this. I've got to shift something. There's got to be some boundaries drawn. There's got to be a prioritization of me. And this retreat couldn't have come at a more perfect time when I absolutely needed it. So that's just real talk. Things that you don't always hear me talk about on social media. I don't know if I'll ever share the family emergency that had happened, but I will say that this has taught me a lot. I could see it coming and it felt like a train that I couldn't stop. And I tried. And like I said, I've learned a lot from that situation. And so I actually don't feel burnout anymore. Tulum was the reset that I actually needed. And so I had planned for the retreat. We had a photo shoot that was so fucking epic. I have started updating my website, andsherises.com. Go check it out with some of the pictures. And they're just gorgeous. And I've also been updating my social medias and things like that. So definitely go check those out. Leading up to it, I was planning out all of my outfits for the photo shoot. We got to have a 40-minute photo shoot with an epic photographer. Her name is Paige. And I was choosing what outfit I was going to be witnessed in based on the identity of who my clients become as a result of going through the programs. So I had 4 outfits because I wanted my 4 core offers. The 2 I got B-roll from my own phone and then took pictures on my own phone were for our Evolution membership, which I was going for like a feminine and flowy and playful vibe with that. And then the Untamed Healer Mini Mind, which I was going for like bold, black, like in your power. And the 2 that I was witnessed in were the 2 that I was excited about those other 2, but I was stoked for this. I planned so intentionally. The amount of times that I had different outfits shipped to me, ship back, shipped to me, ship back. And then finally I was like, I had ordered a dress for my Quantum Illumination Reiki certification program, and the company shipped the wrong dress. And I was like, what the fuck? How many times? And I had looked on their website and they were like, yeah, shipping out of a warehouse in California. And there was different warehouses in California. And I was like, okay. And then it got to me, and to return it required me to ship it to China. So I didn't even ship it back. They gave me a partial refund. Anyway, so what I ended up doing was going shopping in person, which I don't love to do. And I actually had a really great time, and I found not 1, but 2 dresses. I ended up with both, but one, I was like, this could be future, or I'll have it for a graduation for my niece when I go back in May, or, whatever, a future photo shoot or whatever. I just put it on and I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. But the one that I chose was actually the embodiment of the essence that I was looking for. Lacy, long sleeve. I will pop Illumination Insider in the show notes so you can go see, and the certification sales page. So you can go look at those pictures, and the dress is absolutely stunning. And then the Rising Phoenix, which is my signature program to go from hidden healer to here the fuck I am healer. So what I was looking for was something red, something fiery, something bold, something like here the F I am. Because when my clients go through the Rising Phoenix, we call them alumni. So when our Rising Phoenix alums are in that power, They are in that here I am. They're in that own it. Whether it's loud or that calm confidence, it is here I am. And so I found the perfect dress. It came in later than expected. I put it on and I couldn't get it zipped all the way. And I was like, what the fuck? So I ended up ordering several different options off of Amazon that I had found one day. I found myself on Pinterest while I was at the gym. Oh my gosh, I feel like I have so much to tell you. I was at the gym one day and I found myself on Pinterest. I'm like, why the hell am I on Pinterest? Like, I'm not usually on social media while I'm trying to work out. And then I found something that was similar, not the same, but similar, that could be an option for being witnessed as the Phoenix. And I was like, oh, there it is, add to cart. And I ordered several different options. And I did end up choosing one of the options, but I was like, you know what? Let me see if somebody can get me in to have this altered before I leave. I took it in on Monday. I called the first place that I called. They were able to get me in. They expedited. She's like, it's $10 to expedite. I was like, $10? That's nothing. Yes, please. And she's like, I'll have it to you by Wednesday night. She called me the next day in early afternoon. She's like, their dress is ready. And I was like, what? Yes. And she put it on and zipped up like a glove. And I was like, oh my God, you just made my photo shoot dreams come true. Thank you so much. You don't even know how much this means for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so, yeah, that's the story behind the photo shoot. And the reason why I chose what I chose, epic, epic, epic. And so being witnessed in that energy was wild. I remember coming out in the Rising Phoenix dress first because I had the conversation. I was like, should I go from like calm to fire, or what could that look like? And what was suggested to me was like, come out in the red dress first, like get into that embodiment. And then you're already there, you're locked in. And I was like, ooh, good point. So that's what I did. And I remember coming out and first being photographed, and Paige had showed me the picture. She's like, okay, I just want to show you what it looks like through the lens of which I'm seeing, and make sure that this is the embodiment of what it is that you're doing. And I realized that I was like playing with the dress and like kind of spinning around. I was like, that's not the energy and the essence of what it is that I'm looking for. That's more of like evolution membership, or like fun and playful and flowy. And I was like locked in. And I was like, fierce power. I have a specific playlist that I was having played while I was being witnessed. And it was just so good. And then same with the certification program, I had a specific playlist for that as well. And one of my friends was the model for being photographed as I facilitated Reiki. And then I remember at one point, I like literally left the planet. I literally just floated off this planet. It was so, I don't even know if I have the words, but I just like tapped in, and I remember turning towards the sun. I could feel the sun off to my right side. And I was like, I just need to face the sun. And I faced the sun and I looked up and I took in a deep breath. And I remember when I finally opened my eyes, my coach was crying, like the photographer was tearing up. She's like, oh my gosh, you just look like you were just a goddess, like channeling the sun and the energy, just like so beautiful. And I got the pictures back and I was like, whoa. So if you ever have a photo shoot, or the next time that you have a photo shoot, those are some really great things to keep in mind. It's like, what is the essence of which you are embodying? Who is the identity of what it is that you are embodying? Instead of it just being like that typical photo shoot, how can you take this to the next level and be in the embodiment of the essence of where it is that you're going and what it is that you're offering? So that's how I stepped into this, because I was like, we've got to do something different. And that's what we did. So there was so much that happened during the retreat, and I could literally talk to you from start to finish, but I'll just give you highlights. First of all, the airport that I flew into is Cancun, and it was 90 minutes from the villa. And I didn't go to the bathroom. Big mistake. I was like just trying to get through customs and everything. And I just was like, whoa, with all the different people that were there, that my brain kind of shut off and I forgot that I had to go to the bathroom. And then next thing I know, I'm getting on the van. I'm like, crap, I have to go to the bathroom. And then Mexico streets are not exactly smooth. 90 minutes, but it was fine. We made it. And the driver, he was like, do you want to sit up front or in the back? And so I was like, well, if it's just me, I'll sit up front. And so I sat up front with him. There was a language barrier. I don't know a whole lot of Spanish. He didn't know much English. Totally fine. But he had put on some music and he was in a vibe. And I'm like, everybody speaks the energy of music. And he was singing and I was dancing. And it was just like a whole like party the entire time we were moving. And at one point, he had turned on Michael Jackson and switched it to like some of the, I don't know, like could have been like even 80s and 90s music of like that era. And so Billie Jean was the one that I remember the most. So funny. And then we get closer to the villa. Now, hear me when I say your girl loves off-roading. I just told you a little bit ago, I love to take my Jeep and find a trail and just get lost in the woods. My Jeep is literally named Mud Puppy. I love to play in the mud. Okay. So, but we were in a van. We're in a van in Mexico. And so we get close to the villa and the road leading to it, I don't know if it had rained or something earlier that day. I have no idea, but it was so muddy. And there were huge puddles. And so he was like making phone calls to people that had been in that area. And they're like, how deep is that? Is what I'm gathering. He was asking. And then he would like crawl through it and kind of stop. And I'm like, no, go, like foot to the floor, like go, don't stop. Cause I was like, I'm not pushing. It was so funny. I was like crying. I'm laughing so hard. It was such a good time. And then when we got there, we did a release ceremony and a sound healing that was really powerful. We had a chef that had breakfast, lunch, and dinner for us. It was so amazing. We had a beach day, which was powerful. The highlights were the full belly laughs and the instant connection between all of us that were there. Leading up to it, I would say probably like a week or so leading up to it, I was like, oh my God, am I going to fit in? Am I going to belong? And I don't know why that fear had been surfacing, but there was definitely a mechanism in there that was trying to keep me safe. And I just needed to prove to myself that I did belong there. And it was so cool because I only knew, aside from my mentor, I only knew one other person that was going to be there. And there were 6 of us total. And so, yeah, instant connections, just the different conversations that we had, from full belly laughter and joking and sharing fears and limiting beliefs and just depth and emotions and being witnessed by each other and just conversation after conversation. It was so amazing. The slow mornings were so good. The beach day was awesome. Like we went to a private beach space and we just had great conversations. I remember at one point I allowed myself the opportunity to get up and leave. And this was true with any conversation. I knew that coming into this retreat, I'd just been through a major family emergency. I had been feeling burnout, and I knew that as a healer, I know it's natural for people to share all the things with me. And I'm totally good with that if I have the energy for it. But I knew that I didn't always have it. And so I let myself be okay with that. And I would make sure that, whoever was supported, if there was other people in the conversation every time. So I would just calmly get up and go do something else and let it be okay. And I remember doing that on the beach, and I was just like, okay, I don't feel like I need to be in this conversation, but I feel like I need to be in the water. So I got up and I went to the water and I just bawled. I stood in the water facing the ocean and I just released everything. All of the emotions that I had been feeling, the guilt, the resentment, whatever else had been coming up, and I just cried. And then once the tears stopped flowing, I was like, okay, I'm going to taking a deep breath. And the next wave that comes, I'm going under the water with it and I'm letting it cleanse and wash over me. And when I walk out, I'm leaving this here because it has been transmuted. And that's exactly what I did. And it felt so healing and deeply powerful to alchemize and allow myself to have that moment by myself. And so that was one of like a profound moments for me too. But I feel like from start to finish, like every time I turned around, like I was feeling different. Something was integrating, something was shifting. My identity was no longer the same. When I got home, I was like, I'm going to give myself a couple days. I'm not going to jump back into routine. If I want to be in the embodiment of who it is that I said I'm going to be, that I'm here to be, that I know it and I can feel it in my soul, I can't come home with the same patterns. I've got to disrupt the pattern. And I really loved our slow mornings in Tulum, and I didn't realize how much I needed that myself. And so I decided my mornings and my days are going to look different. And so let's see, it was Monday and Tuesday that week, actually Wednesday too. I let myself have those slow mornings, move through it slowly, meditation, journaling, coffee, relaxing, maybe doing one or two social media things, and then going to the gym or whatever it was that I wanted to do for my business if I felt like it. But on Wednesday, I went to the gym in the afternoon, and when I came home, I was hot. I started running a fever, and that shit took me down for a week. What was crazy is every single night from the night that I got home until that following Sunday, so 7 or 8 full nights, I had a dream of the women that were at the retreat every single night. And at first I was so mad when I got sick because I was so freaking sick. I couldn't even process what I had just experienced. I was just so exhausted and the fever was just taking over like insane. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm dying. And it was wild because I realized as I was dreaming, my mind was processing everything that had happened. And also I heard it. Like I woke up, that weird like sleep, in between sleep and wake state 2 times. It was almost the exact same language. And I'll probably botch this, but it was like your subconscious mind is processing what your conscious mind cannot. And the second time it said something along those same lines, and then it added a little bit more. And I just had this like deep feeling that the women that I went to the retreat with, like we are soul connected. Like we've spent lifetimes together before. And then also like trusting that my subconscious mind was processing and integrating for me, even though I couldn't physically. And it was never meant to be like that. Do I want to get that sick again? Hell no. I wouldn't wish that shit on anyone. But man, I remember, I think it was Friday morning, I woke up to make sure my youngest son was up for school. And I was so drenched in sweat. The back of my hair was wet. You could literally wring out my t-shirt. I was soaked. And even like my panties, like the top part of my panties, I was drenched. And I was like, oh my God, I just need to cool down for a second. I ate so much soup. I'm only just now starting to eat a little bit more normally. It is so wild. And I'm like, yeah. And I had a conversation with my therapist and I was like, man, I don't wish that on anyone, but I understand why it happened. She's like, not that I'm glad you were sick, but I'm actually glad this happened because it made you continue to have boundaries. It made you continue to have to get supported, and everybody else can do what they need to do in the house, regardless of what's going on. And that you are not the sole person to take care of the house. And I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. So after I started to kind of feel better, then I started my period. So more relaxing. So we're on the other side of all of this. For the most part, I'm breathing mostly better. I'm not really coughing. My throat isn't as scratchy as it had been, just a little clearing. So we're on the other side of this, like we're good. So my biggest takeaways are these. I want to share these 5 are you belong in the room where you are going to be stretched. I know there's this like cliche saying that it's like you are the people that you surround yourself with. I don't know if it's like the 10 or 5 or whatever it is, but you know what I'm saying, right? Where you are the people that you surround yourself with. And if you are finding yourself that, or you're finding that you are in a different place than those people that you're surrounding yourself with, it's time to get in a new room. And though that was kind of that was kind of the thing for me, but what was more eye-opening for me was because I had been feeling like I wasn't sure I would belong, and I didn't know if I was going to like connect with the women that were there. This was huge for me, where it was like, yeah, of course I belong. My soul called me to this retreat. I'm going for a reason. Of course I belong. Of course this is going to stretch me. Of course there's going to be connection. The other thing is take what you need and ask for what you need. This came up a lot. And I know that several of us during it, we were asking questions for specific things. And my mentor just kept saying, ask for what you need. If it's me, I can help you with it, or I will make sure we get it. If it's you need snacks, like let's ask the chef and we'll get some food going. Like no big deal. So those are like basic, but how can you integrate this into your day-to-day? Like asking for more of what you need. This can be if you're married or you have a partner, it's asking from them what you need. It's asking those in your household what you need and taking what you need. And maybe it's asking God, source, universe for what you need, like handle it. And then you follow the aligned actions. The next one was find the magic in a random Wednesday. This was dropped in and it has stuck with me like crazy. I really in a space of like living more. This is more about embodiment. Sure, yes, I can integrate different strategies into my business and blah, blah, blah. There's always tweaking that can be done somewhere. But what is more useful is for me to, yes, have that piece, but live my life more. Finding the magic in a random day, not waiting for the weekend to really live my life. So where can you find more magic in your day? Where can you find more play? Where can you find more pleasure, more joy, more bliss, more just living your life? The next one, I have 2 more. The next one is there's more time in a day than you can imagine. I knew going into this retreat that there was going to be definitely a disappearance of time, right? It was like, wow, it's only 10 o'clock. What? We've done so much. We've had so many conversations. So much has already shifted. It was crazy. But also it's like, where are you actually spending your time? Because I guarantee that there are sometimes you're finding yourself scrolling and it's like, so where is it that you're just dinking around? And how can you drop in and be more present? How can you drop in and just like, instead of avoiding doing a thing, you're spending more time avoiding doing a thing than actually fucking doing it. So just go do it. it was so eye-opening. Half the time I didn't even know where my phone was. I would sit it down and I would just walk away. And I realized, I was like, I need all of you guys to just spam me with all of your pictures because I don't have a whole lot. We got a lot of B-roll, but as far as like from the villa and the beach and things like that, I didn't have a whole lot because I was so present and in the moment. And when you are living your life and you are moving forward in alignment, there's so much time. And actually, this was affirmed by me or affirmed for me rather this week when I had my therapy session, because we were reflecting on that. And then we were just like thinking about different ways that this can all be integrated, like bringing Tulum into where we live. And one of the things was like the hours in the day. And I made a list of what I do every day or what I want in a perfect day. What would this look like? How many hours of sleep do I get? What is my workout like? Meditation, sunshine, eating, like working. How many hours do I want to work? And what does that look like? And I'm still not done with it. I'm up to 18 hours. There's 24 hours in a day, and that's already included sleep. So it's like there's so much more time in a day than we think. It's like, what are you actually doing with your time, and how can you be more present and intentional? And then the last one, and this is one that I talk about with my clients, but this was also just such a beautiful confirmation for myself too, is that your identity shift can happen in an instant. You don't need weeks, you don't need months, you don't need years, you don't need a new year, you don't need a new anything. It's just a decision and allowing this to happen. And it's a shift in the mind as well. And just deciding, you know what? I'm sick of my shit. I'm going to choose a new way of living and being. And when the limiting beliefs come up, or when I slip into old patterns that aren't serving me, I'm going to address it. I'm going to look it dead in the eyes. I'm going to decide, nope, that's not how I decided I'm going to live. Here's the new story. Here's the new pattern. So where is it that you are like, well, I am desiring to be that future version of myself, and you're tapping into her in meditation, but in the day-to-day life, that's not how you're living. And how can you live more in that essence? How are you showing up? How are you dressing? What does your day look like? What would your day look like if you were already in that embodiment? Who are you talking to? Who are you getting in the room with? Where are you investing your time, energy, money? And making aligned action moves. Okay. Hit me up on social media. All the links are in the show notes for you. Let me know how this resonated, what shifts and aha moments you had. I'm so excited to hear from you. Stay tuned because we are getting ready to launch our Quantum Illumination Reiki certification program. I have official start dates coming in. So if you are ready now, links in the show notes. Skip the line and just DM me Reiki on Instagram. Or if you don't have Instagram, you can DM me on TikTok or just send me an email. It doesn't matter. And let's get you in. Let's get you in the certification program. Currently, we have 9 healers, about to have our 10th, and we haven't even officially launched yet. So I would get in now. And again, in the show notes, the links for my certification sales page and the Illumination Insider if you want to learn more information about it as well. But you can also view some of my photo shoot pictures as well, so you can see the visual with the verbal that I just shared with you. So I hope that you enjoy this episode. I can't wait to chat with you more. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.